Those folks they saw on that day were the closeout crew who closed the hatch back in April.
I believe that is the flight surgeon there briefing the crew, welcoming the crew, as well as briefing them for the next steps in the operation.
Now that the side hatch is open, the recovery personnel are going to work to remove those footrests, and then after that we should see the crew begin to egress the capsule.
There, I believe they are removing those footrests. It looks like they grabbed all 4 of them.
Some smiles, thumbs up. Looks like they're feeling pretty good. So we are standing by for the egress of Crew 4. They will exit the capsule one at a time.
And also getting a nice welcome home photo in.
And as the crew exits, you might be able to see a stretcher in the view. That is perfectly normal and expected. It's part of the nominal procedure. As we mentioned, the crew will be taken to medical facilities. So this is really just all part of the standard procedure that we do for any crew return.
Yes, again, they have been out in space in microgravity for about 6 months. So they may need some assistance adjusting back to gravity here back on Earth.
So I did hear that there's a special guest on board looking to welcome Crew 4 back to Earth. In fact, it's the namesake for the vessel that they are on. NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur there in your screen with on the left of your screen. In the hat, you can have a view of her here on the left of your screen here. She's, I'm sure, looking forward to welcoming the crew back to Earth.
That's really awesome to have her on board, especially the vessel that they named, that we named after her.
Absolutely. So it looks like they're continuing to remove those footrests ahead of egress.
You can see there is a crew member there helping to remove the harness, the umbilicals, and make sure that the crew is ready to get out of their seat and exit or egress the Dragon vehicle.
And once the crew does egress, they'll take part in those medical checks, and then after that they will board helicopters where they will fly back to shore, at which point they will board a plane and fly back to the Ellington Airport just outside of the Johnson Space Center in Houston. And then for our ESA, our European Space Agency astronaut, Samantha Cristoforetti, she'll head back to Europe. And so from this view over the shoulder of the crew, kind of looking behind the crew, from left to right, we can't see her right now, but on the farthest left is European Space Agency astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti. And then in the view on the left of your screen is the commander of Crew Dragon Freedom, NASA astronaut Kjell Lindgren. To his right, which we can see on our screen, is NASA astronaut Bob Hines. And then to his right, again, we can't see her just yet, but we will in a moment here once they egress, is NASA astronaut Jessica Watkins. Now, this was the first flight for Bob Hines and Jessica Watkins. Both Samantha and Kjell had flown previously.
I also believe you mentioned a pretty cool fun fact about Samantha being having one of the longest amount of time out in space, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So Samantha Cristoforetti now is second in the running for longest space flight by any woman. She has totaled 369 days in space over her 2 flights, and she is second only to now retired NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson.
Looks like the first to exit their seat is pilot Bob Hines.
And so again, you do see that stretcher to the left of the screen there. That is all part of our standard procedures. Looks like we're getting some claps and cheers for Bob Hines. First out of Crew Dragon Freedom.
And a high five to Megan MacArthur.
And so as we just saw, Bob Hines was the very first to exit or egress the capsule. He spent a total of 170 days in space. This was his very first space flight. And it looks like next up we will have the commander, Kjell Lindgren, who will exit the capsule. This is his second space flight. He's logged a total of 311 days in space. And Kjell Lindgren is now outside of Crew Dragon Freedom.
Some great smiles and waves there.
A big high five to NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur. Recovery personnel now working to get Jessica Watkins ready to egress. So just 5 hours ago, this vehicle was docked to the International Space Station, and now we have 2 of the 4 crew members having been removed after a successful splashdown. We are standing by for another first-time flyer, Jessica Watkins, as she is egressed from the capsule.
And there she is, NASA astronaut Jessica Watkins, standing up for the first time in about 6 months.
And the final crew member that will be removed is European Space Agency astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti, who after this mission has logged 369 days in space over her 2 flights, which again, that does make her the second on the all-time list for most days in space by a woman. And that is second to NASA's Peggy Whitson, who logged 665 days in space over her 3 space flights.
There is ESA astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti, now egressed from the Dragon vehicle, the final crew member of Crew 4 to exit the vehicle.